How people be exaggerating about eschatology, the study of end days or last things or the old covenant. People start telling you, hey, we're in the last days. Christ is going to come back any day now in our future. So be prepared, be ready, because Christ is coming back. Well, let's show you what the Bible means when it says last days or end days. And let's see if it's equivalent to what you believe or what you've been taught about the quote unquote end days or last days of the Bible. Genesis 49 and 1. Then Jacob called his sons and said, gather around that I may tell you what will happen to you in the last days. Or we have the explanation of when the last days, according to the Bible, will occur and what will occur during those last days. Genesis 49 and 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and the obedience of the people is his. According to Torah, Shiloh, the Messiah, was going to come in the biblical last days. Let's continue. Let's go to the prophet Daniel and see what Daniel said about the biblical last days. 2:28. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has disclosed to King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen at the end of days. Your dream and the visions of your head as you lay in the bed were these. 44. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, nor shall this kingdom be left to another people. It shall crush all these kingdoms and bring them to an end, and it shall stand forever. Went up to verse 40 before we read 44. It says, and there should be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, just as an iron crushes and smashes everything. It shall crush and shatter all these. And in the days of those kings of the fourth kingdom, verse 44 occurs. Two things to be taken from that. First of all, the thing that was going to come to an end was the kingdoms of man. That fourth kingdom was the final kingdom. And during that fourth kingdom, God of heaven was going to set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed. So that kingdom has no last days. There's no last days in an everlasting kingdom. So what had an expiration date? When man was ruling, but specifically the four kingdoms of the biblical narrative. 7 and 13. As I watched in the night visions, and I saw one like a human being or the son of man coming with the clouds of heaven, and he came to the Ancient of Days and was presented before him. To him was given dominion and glory and kingship, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion which shall not pass away, and his kingship is one that shall never be destroyed. The kingship of the statue in Daniel 2, that could be destroyed. But this kingship of the Messiah could never be destroyed. So the Messiah's kingship doesn't have a last days. 7:23. And this is what he said. As for the fourth beast, there shall be a fourth kingdom on earth that shall be different from all the other kingdoms. It shall devour the whole earth and trample it down and break it to pieces. 27. The kingship and dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the holy ones of the Most High. Their kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey them. So the biblical narrative is letting it be known that the last days was during the fourth biblical kingdom. And within that fourth biblical kingdom, the God of heaven set up a kingdom that should never be destroyed. The Messiah, so it's during the time of the Messiah going into heaven. The Messiah went into heaven and received the kingdom that should never be destroyed. And the saints on earth received the kingdom that should never be destroyed. in the time period in which the Messiah went up into heaven. Now, let's go into the New Testament, which was written under the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, the fourth biblical kingdom. Well, you got Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome. If what I'm saying is correct, we should see some last days language in the New Testament written under the Roman Empire. Let's see if we can find some last days language in the New Testament. Through 3 and 2. John the Baptist proclaimed, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near." Matthew 4:17. From that time, Jesus began to proclaim, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near." And the Messiah is proclaiming that kingdom that was supposed to be set up in the last days. They're proclaiming that it's near in the New Testament under the Roman Empire. Go to Galatians 4 and 4. But when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law. Now, Paul, under the Roman Empire, saying that's when the fullness of time was, and the Messiah came during that fullness of time, which Genesis 49 said in the last days the Messiah was going to come and accomplish some things. See if we can find any more last days declarations in the New Testament written under the fourth kingdom, the fourth beast, Rome. Chapter 2, 16 to 17. No, this is what was spoken through the prophet Joel. In the last days it will be, God declares, that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. Peter is declaring what happened at Pentecost was a prophecy that Joel said was going to occur in the last days. And Peter is saying that last days prophecy is being fulfilled under the Roman Empire, under the fourth kingdom in the first century. Let's see if we can find another declaration in the fourth beast or Rome New Testament under the fourth empire of a last days declaration. Hebrews 1 and 2. But in these last days he has spoken to us by a son, whom he appointed heir of all things, through whom he also created the worlds. The author of Hebrews felt that they were living in the biblical last days. Let's see if we can find another New Testament reference that show the New Testament is actually the last days that the Bible was speaking on. Not Western people, not your teachers, not what you believe, but the biblical last days. 1 John 2 and 18. Children, it is the last hour. As you may have heard that Antichrist is coming, so now many Antichrists have come. For this we know that this is the last hour. So now 1 John is saying they are living in the last hours, which is in the last days, before an everlasting kingdom that doesn't have a last days occur. So what I'm showing you is that dealing with eschatology, study of the end days, the last biblical days was the first century. It was what the New Testament is about, the things that occurred in the biblical last days. That's why we don't have any more Bible that was written after the first century, because the last days came and they left, and we are now in an everlasting kingdom that doesn't have any last days. So no, we're not living in the last days. Thank you. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me.